We are in one of the most romantic places in this beautiful region of the south of France, Les Baux-de-Provence. For some decades now, L'Houstot de Beaumaniere has become one of the most sought-after gastronomic stopovers in France. Under the shade of the parasols and the century-old cypress trees, we come to savor the leg of lamb from the Alpilles, the eggplant gratin, delicious goat cheese, but also the spectacle of nature at its most prodigious, a feast for all the senses. Nearby lies the little village of Les Baux. On foot, we meander through the tiny winding streets, narrow alleys, and solid houses, standing guard over the tranquility of the place. Disturbed only occasionally by the Mistral, a strong, often violent wind whistling through the neighboring hills. Walking around this area is such a pleasure.
Je connais Beaumaniere depuis 2 ans et en fait c'est devenu une drogue.
I've known Beaumaniere for 2 years now, and in fact it's become a drug, an addiction. Every 4 to 6 months, I need to come back, because it really is heaven on earth. The personnel at Beaumaniere is charming, the cooking is refined, indoors and outdoors, it's beautiful.
L'extérieur, bon, il se passe beaucoup de choses, et l'intérieur, c'est-à-dire que la salle est absolument somptueuse.
The rooms inside are absolutely fabulous. It has the feeling of a cathedral. It has its own life. The bedrooms are wonderful. There are fireplaces everywhere, and one feels as though the rest of the world doesn't exist. It's a true haven, and this is pretty rare. The uniqueness of Beaumaniere, the source of its charm, is the very real presence of Jean-André Charial, a cultured Epicurean who speaks eloquently of his region and its cuisine.
You gave us a very impressive list of names of well-known people who have been to Beaumaniere. But could a young couple who want to spend a weekend at Beaumaniere afford to do so?
Yes, they could. Obviously, it's not that cheap, but for example, one night with breakfast and dinner for 2 would come to about 2,500 francs. Of course, it's not inexpensive, but if you really want to, you can go out and splash out and spoil yourself for $500. These days there's a change in our clientele, a different culture. Previously in places like Beaumaniere, known for its luxury style, certain people just wouldn't dare to come. They would have felt ill at ease. This doesn't exist anymore. Everyone feels comfortable everywhere.
What does the word luxury mean to you?
It means, first of all, the space, the spacious surroundings, space around space, in the bedrooms, for example. It's also peace, tranquility. It's everything people don't have when they live in places like Paris, London, or Tokyo. Anyway, at Beaumaniere, this definition is the correct one because people tell me they sleep very well. And as far as luxury cooking is concerned, things have changed considerably. Luxury is no longer eating caviar or smoked salmon or things like that. Things that one can eat anywhere. Luxury is eating fresh produce that can no longer be found elsewhere. I have my own garden where I grow vegetables. I pick my peas every morning and serve them for lunch. They have a unique flavor. Everybody thinks they're wonderful because it reminds them of the taste of their grandmother's fresh peas. Cooking to me is like designing clothes. For example, if I make a salad for you, I won't make the same one for the next table. Each one is unique, and that entails the use of many people in the kitchen. It's a costly way of doing things, unfortunately. But if one objects to that, you simply can't be a great chef. I'm very greedy, and my main problem is avoiding putting on weight. I love eating, I love wine, and I love the connection between wine and food. I feel there's nothing more beautiful than finding the perfect combination between the wine served and its appropriate dish. Here are the ingredients for a langoustine tail salad with white beans. We use the tails with the shells, which we prepare. And for this I need some vegetables, a langoustine, butter, and white beans. And we have them here. Olive oil from the Vallée des Baux, truffles, eschalots, and chives. We have separated the body of the langoustine from the tails and taken off the shells. Usually with a little gadget, we crush them. A little drop of olive oil. Voila. All the flavor is in the body, not in the tails. You must really crush them up well. Vegetables, which means for me carrots, onions and leeks. A cotiron, du Coteau des Baux, the local red wine. I add some fish stock, and I cook that for about half an hour. Then we'll have something really tasty. Now when the langoustine is reduced enough, we pass it through a strainer. And then I'll use it for my sauce. And now we'll make the vinaigrette. Starting with tomatoes, and off we go. The mayonnaise, the white beans, a little raw eschalot with some sherry vinegar. Still the same proportions, 1 spoon of vinegar for 3 spoonfuls of olive oil. We mix the dressing with the base of langoustine shells that we prepared earlier. I put in a bit of salt and some pepper. And we fry them, the tails that is, like this. It's much better than poaching them. I put them on a bit of absorbing paper to take off excess grease. And then I put on the white beans. Some truffles, diced carrots, just for decoration, and finishing up with some chives. And there we have it. Langoustine tail salad with white beans.
Une recette d'un carré d'agneau à la tapenade. La tapenade qui est
Now a recipe for loin of lamb with olive puree. The tapenade, which we sell in the Beaumaniere store here, is the black olive puree with anchovies and capers. So this will be loin of lamb, which we will cover with an olive puree and serve with an eggplant gratin, which we make with tomatoes, onion, garlic, olive oil, and basil.
Bon, donc voilà le carré d'agneau. J'enveloppe là les.
I wrap the lamb loins in aluminium foil so that they don't blacken. Then I add a pinch of salt and pepper. Then I put them into a very hot, heavy saucepan, preferably cast iron.
Bon, je vais chercher le carré d'agneau, donc que j'ai laissé environ un quart d'heure.
In about a quarter of an hour, I check the lamb, remove it from the flame, and allow it to rest.
Voilà.
As meat is far more flavorful if you do it this way. Now I baste the lamb with the olive puree.
De cette purée d'olive noire qui est faite, comme je vous l'ai déjà dit, avec de l'anchois, des capres et un petit peu d'huile d'olive. Voilà. Après, on met un petit peu de...
And sprinkle ground breadcrumbs on top.
Par-dessus. Je vais mettre le carré d'agneau avec la tapenade et la chapelure sous la salamandre.
Then I broil the dish for 2 minutes.
Bon, il a passé donc 2 minutes à la salamandre. Il est très chaud. Et voyez donc l'aspect qu'il a, légèrement coloré.
You can see the golden look of the dish now.
Bon, donc on va mettre 3 petits morceaux.
We put 3 pieces per person on a plate.
Un petit peu de gratin d'aubergine.
A little bit of eggplant gratin.
Ce sont des aubergines qui sont frites et cuites dans un coulis de tomate.
Which we sprinkle with the lamb juice, made with the leftovers of the lamb in the saucepan, to which we added the lamb bone.
Les carcasses et les os d'agneau. Voilà.
So, there we have it. The loin of lamb with olive puree, tapenade, and the gratin of eggplant.
En 45, c'était un village désertique.
In 1945, this was a desolate promontory of a village. But it is on the Paris-south of France route and the Italy-Spain route. So we really are in a good location. It's a well-known area of civilization and very rich in old stones. You have the village of Beau, which was very important in the Middle Ages, in the 12th and 13th centuries. You have Glanon, which is the best preserved Greco-Roman town of Saint-Remy, and you have Avignon, city of the popes. My maternal grandfather, Raymond Thuillier, created and founded Beaumaniere. He received his first Michelin star in 1949, the second in 1952, and the third in 1954. For 35 years we were in the firmament of the stars. If you like, he was one of the pioneers of relais et châteaux. That's to say, the kind of place in which you find a unique setting, a superior cuisine, and a very comfortable hotel. The development of Beaumaniere was linked to the development of the automobile. One cannot get to Beaumaniere without a car.
Prenez le train ou à Nice ou prenez l'avion. Mais quand il n'y a plus d'essence, on ne vient plus. On a fermé 2 fois Beaumaniere.
When there's no petrol, you can't get here. We closed twice. Once in 56 with the Suez Crisis, then in May 68, no petrol. So nobody comes.
Les clients me disent, mais est-ce que vous faites une cuisine différente pour les Américains?
Sometimes customers ask me if I cook differently for Americans or Japanese. No, not at all. I make dishes that I love, which give the flavor of this area, of our style of living here. We can't tailor our cuisine because we have an American living here or a Japanese. We live in this area. It's an area where we love olives, olive oil. And happily, as it turns out, it seems our clients do as well.
Je ne suis pas sommelier, mais par contre, je suis vigneron aussi.
I'm not a wine captain, but I am a grape grower. Here at Beaumaniere, we have a huge wine cellar, one of the most beautiful cellars of all French restaurants. We have more than 100,000 bottles, which is a considerable investment, since we have very, very old bottles from the last century. I've always had a very strong interest in wine, and a few years ago, I felt like having my own vineyard and making a wine that was one that I myself would like. In the Alpilles, the little Alps near Saint-Remy, I planted vines from cuttings of traditional grapes which fit in with this area.
Is that a Coteau d'Aix?
Yeah, the appellation is Coteau d'Aix-en-Provence. The name of the wine is Château Romanin, because there's an old 12th century chateau around here, which was a kind of medieval love court. The troubadours came and sang. And the Château de Romanin had a very important love court. Even in the word itself, Romanin, there's a resonance, an esotericism. It's mystical.
Why not call it Château Beaumaniere?
Because it's the place. Beaumaniere is the place. It's an old house built in the 16th century. Nobody really knows the origin of the name Beaumaniere. There are 2 ways of looking at it. Either that you cut the name off at Beau, which means rocks in provincial French, and manière, which means accessible in provincial French.
What is the contribution that you feel you bring to the heritage of Provence?
The main characteristic of Provençal cooking is linked to the olive and olive oil in general. And that is the difference with other areas of France. So the best I could do is to use the olive oil in my dishes and use it in the best way possible. I think we have one of the best olive oils in the world here. It's very different to Italian and Spanish oils. It's far more fruity and perfumed. Here we have the crepes which were prepared in advance following a basic crepe batter recipe. And we're going to fill them with what we call a soufflé instrument, a mixture of crème pâtissière with candied orange peel and a little orange extract mixed with egg whites. By putting them in the oven, the crepes will swell and look quite spectacular. I take a little crème pâtissière. A drop of orange extract.
D'écorce confite.
Candied orange peel.
D'orange confite. Pour parfumer. Et je mélange.
And then I mix them.
Il faut bien faire en sorte que Là, c'est un peu compact, les écorces, qu'elles se mélangent bien à la crème. Bon, pendant ce temps-là, donc, on a mis les blancs.
In the meantime, we
On
beat
monte
the
les
eggs
blancs,
to a peak
on les
with a little
sucre un petit
sugar.
peu, et on va incorporer les blancs à ce mélange. Donc j'ai les blancs là que je viens de monter. Je reprends donc la crème pâtissière mélangée avec les oranges confites et le Grand Marnier. Et donc je vais incorporer maintenant
I
les
add the
blancs.
egg whites very slowly to the
mélange.
mixture,
Donc on mélange doucement.
and then gently mix the whole thing.
Donc maintenant je beurre avec du beurre là,
And now
pinceau en
I
plat,
slightly baste
sur
the
lequel je vais
plate
disposer des crêpes.
in which the crepes
Opération,
will be
c'est
served
Parce que les crêpes ne s'attachent pas au
with
plat,
butter
donc,
and a
nous
brush
allons
so that they won't
les
stick.
enlever et les mettre sur l'assiette du client. Donc nous mettons une crêpe comme ça, un petit peu
One like that.
d'appareil, un crêpe au milieu.
A little cream in the middle.
On referme la crêpe.
We close the crepe over the cream.
Même opération avec la suivante.
Same thing for the second one.
Et on les met 2 minutes au four.
Then I put them in the oven for 2 minutes.
On met un peu de sucre glace dessus là.
Now a little confectioner's sugar. One.
Une deuxième.
Two.
Vous avez un sirop qui est fait avec du Grand Marnier, et de l'eau et du sucre.
Then we've got some syrup
Et là, c'est
made of
différent,
Grand Marnier and sugar,
que nous allons servir donc de chaque côté de la crêpe.
and a little custard around the edge.
Et de l'autre. Voilà. Voici donc les crêpes de
Voilà, there you have it. Crêpes soufflées façon Beaumaniere. Please be seated and just imagine Beaumaniere on a summer evening, a candlelit dinner, and in the distance the never-ending song of the cicada.